Good afternoon. Good afternoon. I'm Anthony Crowell, Dean and President of New York Law School, and it gives me great pleasure to call to order our commencement exercises. Congratulations! And it's also an honor to introduce to you Rebecca Nason, one of today's graduates who will sing our national anthem. Rebecca?
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Wow. Thank you so much, Rebecca. That was beautiful. So, as we always say at New York Law School, we are a family. And of course, while today's celebration is for you, our graduates, I want you to all give your loved ones who are here a well-deserved round of applause for standing by you on this journey. I'd also like to welcome those alumni here today who graduated from the law school 50 or more years ago. Hold your applause while I read their names, and we can applaud them right after. From the class of 1968, celebrating their 50th graduation year, we have William Bainan, Sang-Ki Lee, Edward Spear, Avram Van, and Jack Wergaft. From the class of 1967, Raymond Schwartzberg. From the class of 1965, Judge Joseph Golia. Our Board of Trustee members, Stephen Pagalis and Judge Ronald Zweibel. From the class of 1964, Jack Gladstein and Raymond Messina. From the class of 1963, former Board of Trustees member Judge Milton Williams. From the class of 1962, Fortune Macri. From the class of 1961, Dominic Porto. From the class of 1960, Martin Danoff. From the class of 1959, Nicholas Arena, and our extraordinary board chair, Arthur Abbey. And from the class of 1958, celebrating their 60th graduation year, Joseph Friedman and Judge Ernst Rosenberger, also from our Board of Trustees. And finally, I'd like to acknowledge the extraordinary service of one of our trustees who was recently confirmed as the United States Ambassador to Hungary, David Kornstein. David and Arthur, please join me on stage at the podium. While David will be continuing on as a board member, when he takes his duties on as ambassador, we want to present him now with a token of our appreciation for his desk in Budapest, a crystal apple, in recognition of his 20 years of service and counting at New York Law School. We are incredibly excited and proud to call you one of our own, and congratulations. It's certainly also fitting that we celebrate Ambassador Kornstein, given New York Law School's impact on our global community. So congratulations again. So here we are, glad to be back at Carnegie Hall, where we celebrated our very first commencement 126 years ago. In 1891, both New York Law School and this great hall opened their doors during an era known as the Gilded Age, a time of unprecedented innovation and economic growth for America. Yet the gap between the richest and the poorest was bigger than ever, and large numbers of immigrants whose hard work helped fuel America's transformation faced a frightening rise in nativism and ultranationalism in reaction to the seismic economic and social changes that were afoot. Now here we are today, June 1st, 2018, and again, we're in the midst of unprecedented times, caught in a similar crosswind with conflicting ideas about the future of our nation. Technology and the economy are rapidly changing. Our society is more interconnected and global than ever, and the nation has never been more diverse. And yet we face growing inequality, polarization, hate, and all too often violence. So as you head out of this hallowed hall today, you will begin your legal careers in quite an unsettled world that needs your leadership, your engagement, and your steadfast commitment. In this time of rapid change, lawyers have an urgent responsibility to protect our institutions so they continue to serve as guardrails. Of course, our most important institution is our American democratic system, made possible by the rule of law. You've all learned at New York Law School that the rule of law can safeguard human dignity, that it can drive human empowerment, promote social justice, and propel prosperity in all directions. And as lawyers, we're the guardians of all our institutions, but especially that of the rule of law. When we do our jobs well, we can guarantee that our institutions function, that they have legitimacy, and that they protect us from being swallowed by our worst selves. But we need to be vigilant because powerful forces are attempting to weaken our institutions, weaken our resolve, and weaken our common bonds. Just look at the impact certain foreign actors have already made on our American democracy and other democracies, attempting to influence tens of millions of people, affecting elections, news consumption, and shared understanding of facts without ever violating physical borders or even firing a single shot. The work of those who wish us harm is made easier and more effective by the insidious rise of anti-intellectualism and an arrogant disregard for rigorous analytical thinking, scientifically based facts, and diverse points of view. There is a lot to fear and a lot at stake. Now, I used to tell our graduates to be fearless, but I have to say, today, it'd be quite disingenuous for me to do that. A positive and sustainable future for our nation and world requires all of you to move forward with courage, in spite of any fears you may have. Courageous lawyers are the ones who reject fear in favor of advancing justice, safeguarding institutions, and solving global problems. You now have the ability to change entire systems for the better, even while protecting individuals in matters both large and small. That's why you will need courage. Whether your work will be to prove the innocence of the unjustly convicted, to fight for restitution from powerful wrongdoers, or to protect desperate families seeking safe harbor from dismal conditions and oppression in their native lands. You will draw strength and courage from your clients just as much as they draw strength and courage from you in their quests for justice. Just look today as women increasingly testify to the harassment, assault, unfair and unequal treatment they've experienced in their professional and private lives. Now, as terrible as this is an inspiring and empowering moment for all of us. I'm so proud, and all of you have heard me say this, so proud that our law school is part of the solution, with women finally representing so much of the bright future of our profession. In fact, nearly 60% of this class is women, and we will hear from four extraordinary female graduates this afternoon. So remember to always undertake your work in a way that influences the larger context, in addition to the immediate needs of your clients. Individually and collectively, you will shape developments that can be felt globally, and you can and will drive entire social movements. Just look at our honorees today. United States Supreme Court Justice Stephen Breyer is the embodiment of a protector of our institutions, and he understands that our law is affected by the law of other nations, which must be taken into account in our interconnected world. And in this increasingly borderless world, it couldn't be a better time to honor Christina Storm from the class of 1977, who has dedicated her life's work organizing volunteer lawyers to advance global human rights. Alex Demetrick is a leader in global business and gender equity efforts for one of the world's largest and most important corporations, General Electric, which affects the lives of each and every one of us in this room daily, and the lives of billions around the world. And interestingly enough, GE was formed at the same time that Carnegie Hall and NYLS were established, further showing the extraordinary innovation of that gilded age. Monique Baptist, from the class of 2018, is a model of how one individual can make an impact through her courage, her commitment, and investment in others. Neldra and Douglas Ziegler, from the classes of 1979 and 1981 respectively, are both leaders in city government whose work on diversity and police community relations has helped create a more equal playing field and served as a template for cities globally. And then Professor Stephen Ellman, who began his career fighting racism in Alabama. He's one of the world's leading scholars on South Africa's Constitution, which itself is a monument to the rule of law and its ability to foster justice and freedom. So with all the challenges these honorees have helped society and their clients overcome, the bar exam should look easy by comparison. You didn't think I wasn't going to mention the bar exam, did you? No, the bar exam is not easy. But I want you to know, think about this. You chose to go to law school because you had a calling. You chose a life in service of others, and you must simply make the sacrifices necessary to fulfill your promise to yourself and those who will depend on you. Don't think that my words are empty. Remember, the bar exam is the gateway to launching yourself into roles that will change the world. So the way you choose to prepare for this test will reflect how you will choose to tackle much, much harder challenges in the future. As long as you take a determined and rigorous approach in studying and use all the resources that we've made available to you, you will pass. You can do it. Don't let yourself down. Don't let yourself down. Don't let everyone here down. Don't make excuses. We need you on the front lines as soon as possible, plain and simple. I know that many of you have been through a lot to reach this point, and that you've already been courageous in so many ways, and certainly relentless in pursuing your goal. But listen closely to our speakers today. Use their words as inspiration and use them to create a roadmap for yourself as you begin your exciting new journeys. We don't celebrate what you have achieved today in a singular way. We are summoning you to action with a deep and informed understanding of the responsibilities that lie ahead of you. I want to leave you with the words of the transformational South African lawyer, Nelson Mandela, who, even while spending decades in prison, led his nation to freedom. As he said in a 1989 speech to the United States Congress, "I learned that courage was not the absence of fear, but the triumph over it. The brave are not the ones who do not feel afraid, but the ones who conquer that fear." So to all of you, as you leave these doors, go out into the world with a focused mind and a courageous heart. Bravely confront and conquer the challenges ahead of you, and you will find that nothing can stop you from making the world better than it is today. I offer you my heartfelt congratulations on your graduation, class of 2018. I am so proud of you, and I will miss you. And I think you know that New York Law School will always be here for you. Congratulations. And now we will hear reflections on the New York Law School community by Ryan Medler, a member of the class of 2018 and the president of the Student Bar Association. Ryan?
Thank you, Dean Crowell. New York Law School, class of 2018, we did it. Thank you to all the families, the professors, our alumni, our distinguished guests, including Justice Breyer, and all of our honorees for joining us here today on this momentous occasion, a day to celebrate our success, to thank New York Law School for giving us immense support and opportunities, and to come together and rally as we enter the legal profession at a moment when society needs us, perhaps more than at any other time in recent memory. Our class is smart, diverse, and as thoughtful as any law school student could hope for. And as we leave here today, it's important for us to recognize one of the greatest gifts that New York Law School has given us all: the power of independent thinking. Independent thinkers approach decision-making logically. They understand the law. They analyze all the facts and all of the verifiable data in light of the law, and they draw conclusions based upon what is just and right, not what is easy or politically convenient. To be able to study law at an American law school, much nonetheless New York Law School, is one of the greatest privileges that any of us could ever hope for. And it's a privilege that can't be taken for granted or squandered in the years ahead of us. It's a privilege because of what the rule of law represents in American democratic society, and because of the responsibility that we, future members of the bar, will have to support it, to seek truth, and to ensure fairness, equality, and justice.